Howdy YouTube, this is Kyle Fergusson from Into the Nexus podcast, and today we're going to go over Garden of Terror strategies, because Garden of Terror is now in the current battleground rotation for ranked Storm League. Probably haven't thought about it for a while, so let's get down into the nitty-gritty and important bits of playing Garden of Terror. There are quite a few things you should be thinking about with Garden of Terror. First of all, it is a camp-heavy map. Because the objective also spawns early on this map, begins summoning at 2 minutes, and officially shows up on the map at 2 minutes 30 seconds, camps need to be taken crazy early on this map, as opposed to the 3 minutes on our other teamfight maps like Cursed Hollow. You will be doing these sooner than you would on other maps and need to be prepared for that. You also need to draft for campability. A solo laner on a different map might have low camp takeability. Here we would want our solo laners to rotate on camps because they are so important to helping us control the map and getting that bonus XP for our team. It's an amazing way to get ahead. And as with any map, it's a good idea to take a camp that is in a different lane or a different area than the objective is going to be. And with Garden of Terror, we know for sure, always, that the objective is going to start spawning in the bottom. And this forced bottom objective spawn has a rhythm to it. The second objective will be in the top. Now the second objective's a little different, as it will always spawn in the top middle, but after that we enter a back and forth left-right rotation with the objective. Starting at the 30-second mark, there will be an image on your mini-map letting you know the spawn location of the upcoming objective. And this is really important on this particular map, one, because it'll set that rhythm that the rest of the game is going to be stuck on, but it also lets you know when to get into position, because of that early objective able to be taken at the 2:30 mark. With a right side bottom objective on the blue side of the map, we would want to make sure we get our siege giants going here in the top, so that they are pushing during the objective. Ideally, we want to take all of these camps if we can, but by riding that rhythm out, we're able to make pressure where the enemy team might not be able to. And this would be, in your low leagues, your best way to get a huge advantage in a solo play operation. The other important thing about knowing the objectives really early on Garden of Terror is that there are a lot of really dangerous bushes throughout this entire map. Getting set up early can give you a huge advantage just in survivability. And as I talked about in my Dangerous Bushes episode a little while ago, it's not only the bushes you need to worry about. This area right here is a blind spot. If you try to go around here, you are just going to have mysteries on your hands. This bush here, for this objective, is a great place for the DPS to be hiding. Might also be where a tank is ready to make an engagement on you. One thing you must know how to do in order to play Garden Terror is how to tank or corral this objective. These little minions here do have a sort of aggro to them, and if I can get them all attacking the same target, granted poor Misha's having a bit of a hard time here, we are able to channel that objective. In channeling this objective solo with someone like Misha, Rexar, or Lost Vikings, we can get a huge advantage. If just 2 people in such a merc-heavy map are able to take an objective instantly, imagine ETC playing the role of Misha here, and an allied Tyrande doing the channeling, you're able to complete an objective in a much shorter amount of time than the enemy expects you to, and they'll normally be out of position. Because of these minions, people like to give it more time than actually is warranted. People think of it like infernal shrines. There is something guarding that. We don't have to hurry to the objective, we can grab a camp or 2. They're too late already because you know how to do this tanking or corralling strategy. And Garden of Terror does have a lot of scary bushes. Not only these ones that are around objectives that could be hiding a whole team, or leaving you blind as you try to make your way to the objective. These structures alone blocking your sight as you try to get around. There's a bush right here, for instance. It's crazy the amount of places that an enemy team could hide. Your job as tank in this regard is to reveal an anchor as many bushes as possible. If you were rolling into this objective here, as tank, you might want to make a full rotation, and knowing that timing on the objective is going to be huge to make sure you get this done in a time that allows your team to do a 2-tank person strategy here, one corralling those minions and one getting the summon in, while you watch out for enemies from all these angles of approach. In this way, having an off tank is very powerful, but also having a support that might be able to save you if you make a bad face check is also powerful, depending on your league. And we can go anywhere there's not a single place on this map that I feel comfortable with these piles of bushes. Late game aggressive tanks use these guys to huge success. We're gonna find its mirrored version down here. This one is a little bit safer, at least if you had to soak the top lane, but still, this guy right here, if you want to go through anywhere and get these camps, have access to your late game camps, this is a highly campable bush. This one often guards the upcoming objective. Everything is dangerous on Garden of Terror. And to highlight that further, we can look at our middle lane here. It is very easy to disappear into the bushes. The jungle is very wide. There are a lot of merc camps, which means people are disappearing on the minimap all the time. Be scared in your top and bottom lanes. Really watch that minimap and never assume they're going for a camp, particularly if it's the enemy tank. These avenues are not so far apart. Once they get into position, they can approach you safely no matter where you are, pushed out or not. To highlight this even further, if you have an ally doing this camp and you're managing the bottom lane, just take the moment to go safety style around rather than sticking your face in this very vulnerable bush here, where they're likely watching this guy and waiting to gank him and steal the camp from them. When it comes to the objective itself, you can see that these vines, a lot like Tomb of the Spider Queen, move to whatever location the lane is currently pushed out in. So in a perfect world, we would want all 3 of the lanes fully pushed out so that all connect at the same time. This means if you are 5 stacked in one lane or doing a 2-3, whatever have you, all the buildings are being pressured at the exact same time, meaning you get maximum push out of these 3 objectives going at the same time. Same would go for Alterac Pass. Now the next question you might ask yourself is, should I target the monster itself, the big garden terror, or the potted plant? Well, the potted plant doesn't actually scale. It has the same health throughout the entire game. So there's your answer. In the early game, you would target the terror because the potted plant just has too much health for you, being at 1,800. In the late game, 1,800 isn't so much health, and you'd be fine to target down the potted plant first, get your buildings back online, and then charge out and take care of the terror itself. So outside of memorizing all the perfect map timings, you've probably caught on to the fact that camps are going to be really, really important on this map. And of course that advantage is made in the draft, making sure you have heroes that can actually accomplish and complete these camps in a good amount of time without losing too many resources. Even better if they can do it all by themselves, you're not relying on your team in that instance. Here is a sloppy way for Greymane to perform the Bruiser the Night Camp all by his lonesome. Now, of course, our main goal is to jump around and make sure that these 3 knights are never connected at the same time. We want to get rid of the wizard because he's ranged and he's always connected, and making sure that all 4 characters here aren't attacking us means we're receiving the least amount of damage possible. The way you can cheese this a little bit and just be sloppy is blow a little bit of your mana, grab your well, now you're over healing, and kind of get up in here and try to use your swipe to ride outside of the lanes out of these minions' range. With the overhealing you have, you should have no problem doing some stutter stepping and using that swipe to stay out of range. Now, of course, this may get a little hairy as we get deep, but know that you are decreasing the damage with every single one of these that you kill. And you will just barely, no matter how sloppy you are, finish it with just enough health left. Of course, you might also be a little bit higher level than me, being that I don't have anyone soaking lanes at this moment. So So our top universal campers who look really good on a solid team are going to be the following. We just talked about Greymane here, able to provide a lot of team fight damage, able to be both range and melee, so avoiding a lot of clog or playing into living bombs or any sort of giant killer that hits 2 heroes at a time, but also able to do that bruiser camp very, very early on in the game. He will have to hearth, but the speed is what makes Greymane so great at camps. For safety, you can't go wrong with Sonya. Also supplies you with a bit of a body that might be able to face check some of those bushes dangerous around the objective. Sonya is also really powerful right now because she gives movement speed to herself all the time, and movement speed helps her get out of range of towers, able to break that leash if she does hit an enemy hero faster, meaning she takes less damage than most other heroes. Sonya's just looking great right now and a great thing for your roster. Falstad, great for the giant camps, a little slower of course on the bruiser camps where he might have to use his wingman in order to get enough stacks, but the ability to steal enemy camps with those stacks of bribes and his ability to move globally across a big map leaves him in a great place. Raynor, also able to bust out one of these camps, might be worth the executioner pick. It's tough to say right now because the map is so new and our win rates are still just building. Monster Hunter Vala, again, great damage, great ability to do things solo, and as the game goes on, just gonna go faster than her enemy in getting these camps done, which means because you know where the objective's going to spawn, you will be there before they get there. You're able to set up, you're able to take advantage of all those bushes. Speed is so important on Garden of Terror. I like a good Illidan. I like seeing him on my team. Plus with Tassadar in the world right now, who is very directional, very slow, Illidan is doing some great things right now. Always gotta look out for CC, but an Illidan dedicated to camps, gonna do a great thing for his team. Rhaegar, Monk. Lightning Shield for Rhaegar, getting a lot of that done in the first place. Whether it's double support or solo support, these both, just having that much presence in your lane and having the support be able to do the merc camps for you is another huge advantage. Now, camping is all about your practice in performing the camps. If you're an amazing Gazlo, well then go for it. I'm not gonna try to stop you in that regard. But Garden Terror is about speed of camps and how exposed you are doing them because they are so gankable. And in that way, we have to say that Rexxar is just too slow. He doesn't make the cut because he's too darn slow at taking camps. We need speed. Even if Rexxar is very safe in that regard, keeps his health, Misha's health high, you just go too slow doing it on Rexxar. Jaina requires later talents, whether to be mana efficient or a Frostbolt build that can actually speed through the camp. We're looking at level 7 for Jaina to actually clear camps with any mana efficiency. Kael'thas is even worse. He has to get to level 13. It's nice that Kael'thas can do a giant camp, and he can get it done early on if need be, but that's not the place for him, and it would be a lot slower. It's tough for me to declare this. I love Artanis. I think he's bad at the moment, and that's the problem here. Artanis, amateur opponent, does get through camps pretty darn fast. He can solo a lot of big camps like the Samurai on Hanamura, but Artanis is just in a tough spot with the movement speed changes. He hasn't quite recovered. Swaps with this many bushes available aren't going to complete kills because there's too much wiggle room for the enemy to use. Getting camps done on Artanis still leaves him just Artanis. He can't face check. He's too weak in those situations. I wish it was another way. I love playing Artanis, but this is the way it is right now. The Terror overlaps with Sylvanas a little bit. The potted plant performs Sylvanas' trait, so why would we double down? That's not to say you can't Sylvanas. People Sylvanas on Cursed Hollow all the time. She's slow. She's slower. She takes talents to be good at these camps, so you might need a higher level Sylvanas. 1 minute is the time you need to get camping, and Sylvanas is just too slow. Brightwing, just too slow. Stacks, a bribe, take too long. You gotta go. Same goes for Nova, though I would include her as an excellent Tassadar counter right now. She has a place in that world, but again, stacks, a bribe for Nova, covert ops comes online too late for Garden of Terror. Once you have camp clear on your team, it's time to shore up the rest. And right now, the leading win rates for Garden of Terror are some heroes I'd rather not advertise if I had a choice, but Sergeant Hammer is just doing phenomenal work on Garden of Terror right now. This could be due to the tower change and her ability to target towers and heroes outside of their range. She's able to set up, explore bushes with her mines, just looking really, really handsome on Garden of Terror. In addition to her, Zagara, Ragnaros with his massive delay, and Junkrat. And I talked earlier about how pushing out the lanes together means a more powerful split push objective. All three of these have excellent lane clear and are able to make that happen, as well as supplying decent teamfight ability. We also see a good opportunity to interrupt a channeled objective, since you do have to channel that actual seed for a time even after the minions are gone. On the losing side of things, and reinforcing the idea that you have to have merc ability in your distant lanes, our traditional hold out the solo lane with massive survivability isn't bringing it home on Garden of Terror in this patch. Chen and Urel are both around 40% win rate on Garden of Terror, and they're not able to do anything else but hold those lanes, which isn't what's needed because we need those darn camps taken. So you're actually burdening your team by taking these otherwise stellar heroes on other solo lane maps. But of course, this data is only just riding in after the new patch. There are lots of unique things. We're rediscovering Garden of Terror together. I hope this gives you an edge in your future games. Comment below if you have a pocket strategy for Garden of Terror you would like to share, or any hero picks you find particularly powerful on the map. I was Kyle Fergusson. Don't forget to like and subscribe here at Heroes Hearth for more Learn to Play videos. Ring that bell as well. I'll see you next week.